Let's start cheering, and ladies and gentlemen, the Beheaded survive! It's the I won't keep you long. Hi everyone, hello there. Thanks for coming. Round of applause for Mr. Mark Williams, please. Wonderful. Thanks for coming to my show, man. Welcome to Newcastle under Lyme. Yes, my hometown. Well done, seriously, well done for coming to an event in the Potteries that isn't just live darts. Well done, congratulations. Or a fight under a bridge. You should be proud of yourselves, I'm proud of you. So anyway, great. So as I say, I'm from Newcastle and Lyme, and this is my job to go round. But when you do gigs in London, you meet London comedians. You can't say you're from Newcastle under Lyme because they don't know where that is. They think you're a Geordie. So you have to say, I'm from Stoke-on-Trent. And then they're always like, oh. Oh, I'm so sorry. Stoke-on-Trent. I've heard that's a bit of a dive. Oh, I'm terrible. Have you not thought about moving down here? It's nicer down here. So yeah, okay. I will say, yeah, it's okay. I know you have a slightly, higher standard of living, but just out of interest, mate, how big's your monkey forest? Just out of interest. Big, is it? What doesn't exist? So welcome to my show. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for coming to my show, man. That's what they say on all the American comedy specials, isn't it, on Netflix? Thanks for coming to my show, man. Genuinely, thank you. I love it. Americans, do we have any Americans in? Americans are so weird. Always good to check before you don't want any friendly fire. They're used to that. We don't want that. And already, that's the first bit that will be cut from the show. So, congratulations. This is history in the making, friends. Americans are so weird. I was doing a gig down, actually, in London. I just headbutted one of the other acts for not knowing about Trentham Gardens. And this guy, that's why you haven't seen Sarah Millican for a while. And this guy comes up to me. He says, hey, man. I should say straight off the bat, I can't do accents. I can't, I'd love to, but I try, but I can't do it. I can't do accents. My Scottish, Irish, and pirate, exactly the same voice. Well, my attempt at a Welsh accent was described by one friend as offensive to Hindus. So I'm going to have to... Cancel. Anyway, this American guy comes up to me, he says, hey man, I just want to say thank you. I was like, great, I'm glad you enjoyed the show. He said, no. I want to say thank you to you for Mr. William Shakespeare. I said, okay. I can't take all the credit, but you're incredibly welcome. And can I say to you on behalf of my nation, can I say to you guys, thank you so much for making us all feel, by comparison, that we've made some pretty shrewd political appointments. I think you've really helped. And he says, yeah, you Brits are weird. I'm trying to work you guys out. He says, are you pro-gay? What kind of a question to ask is that? How are you supposed to respond to that? I'm not even amateur gay if I'm... I don't play Sunday League or anything like that. Anyway, thanks for coming to my show. Seriously, thanks for coming to my show, man. Because we haven't just sold out, we've oversold it. Yeah. We have sold one ticket more than the venue capacity allows for. Don't laugh at that. That means that one of you is a fire hazard. I'm not going to say which one it is. It's Ethan. Hello, Ethan. I've done this show before. Fear not. I've done this show before. This is my job. I go all over the place. I was in Wales earlier this week. I love Wales. Any Welsh people in? Yes. Yes, although I do not wish to discuss it further. Carry on with your show. Wales is so welcoming, because, for instance, you drive into any town in England, and there's always a sign that welcomes you to the town. You know, Royal Leamington Spa welcomes careful drivers. That's fine. It's even better in Wales. You drive into any town in Wales, there's always a sign that welcomes you to the town. They put the name of the town in English, but then above that, they put the Wi-Fi password. Have you super generous, isn't it? Super generous. It's official joke number 1 of the evening. One of a potential 7 scattered throughout the show. See if you can spot them all. See if you can spot them. Do you like the venue? Well, it's a nice venue, isn't it? It's a great venue. Who even knew this existed? It's fantastic. It's a great venue. Again, like my worst ever experience of a venue was in Glasgow. I drove up to Glasgow, a gig in Glasgow, and I turned up to this gig in Glasgow, and there was no stuff, there was no equipment. I went up to the landlord. I said, "Hello, sir. Excuse me. I've driven for 5 hours. Where's all the stuff?" And this guy says, "Oh, ahoy there, me hearty." No. I very much tried to warn you. I prefaced it. He said, "I'll do my own voice." He said, "Sorry, we thought you'd bring your own stuff." You thought I'd bring my own stuff? You thought I'd bring a stage up in the back of a Skoda Fabia, did you? That's not what happens. Okay, for clarity, what happens is I turn up to the gig, everything else I need, like tonight, should already be there, prepared, okay? That's what happens. In the same way, I don't waltz into Nando's with a chicken under my arm, do I? That's not what happens. Table for 2, please. Okay. It was a disaster. It was a disastrous gig. There was nothing there. There was no tables, no chairs. The audience constituted an old man and a German Shepherd. I mean the breed of dog when I say German Shepherd. A really old Bavarian shepherd just looking really confused. Anyway, before the gig started, they went home for their tea. They were replaced, however, by a group of aggressive Glaswegians for whom hating the English was a personality type, okay? That was their Patronus guys. They were replaced by a lot of Glaswegians, and they were regulars at the gig, and they came prepared, and what they did, this is true, what they did, the moment they heard my dulcet, middle-class tones, they threw open bottles of urine at the stage. Yeah, seriously. Open bottles of urine. They call it Iron Brew in Glasgow, but... Joke number 2. We're well on the way, aren't we? I mean, we're pretty much there now. Are you Scottish? I don't care. Welcome to Staffordshire. Whereabouts in Scotland do you live? Edinburgh? Okay, well, but you're from Edinburgh. Beautiful city, isn't it? Really nice standard of living. How big's your monkey forest? I don't need the answer. Because I know it doesn't exist. Only Leipzig runs us close. It's not all jokes, by the way. Like there's other stuff. There'll be some, anecdotes and, and reportage and stuff like that. What I don't have time for, we've got Marking because he needed to do the banter. Because of the nature of the show, there's not a lot of time for banter. So I'll do a little bit of banter just to get away. So, you, sir, what's your name? Jez. Oh, that's a silly name. Right, let's crack on. Let's crack on. The housekeeping's done. I can sit back, relax, enjoy the show. The reason I point it out. I'm trying to think of you guys. The reason I point it out is because some people come to comedy and they don't want to get picked on. So I'm just letting you know that I'm not going to pick on you. I'm not going to banter with you. Like, I may look aggressive. I'm not aggressive. But in some contexts, I might look aggressive. I know that visually, I look like the guy who rode a motorbike over your granddad's allotment, don't I? I look a little bit like that. I've even got tattoos. I have to hide my tattoos. You've got tattoos, have you, Jez?
I've got a few.
You've got a few? Okay. What are they?
Well, there's quite a funny story behind this one. This is Arabic.
Sorry, did you just say you've got quite a funny story to tell? You've literally paid £9, so you don't have to do that tonight. I've got 7 jokes and 4 funny stories, so you just... I've got a funny story. How was the Beheaded Survive show? Well, the comedian was okay, but there was this guy in the second row who told a very humorous anecdote about a tattoo he got in 1974. He's quite the raconteur. I've got tattoos. You can tell me about that tattoo if you want to.
No, I don't want to.
Just go in the mood then, mate. That's fine. How many do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can't remember. 5.
Right, we'll do the alphabet next week. So I've got nice. I like your tattoos. I've got tattoos. This one here, that's Greek. It says Evangelion. It means good news. And then, Mr. Funny Story, can you see this one? It's just a detailed picture of a chameleon. Can you see that one, mate? See that one? Can you? Mr. Funny Story. Thanks for joining. You know I'm only joking, don't you? We're all no. I wasn't supposed to be here. We were on the way to the cinema and we got dragged in. No one's going to get picked on, particularly now that we've got a sacrificial lamb in the form of Jeff. Taking on the sins of the audience. Well done, Jess. For there tomorrow, you gave your today, and we really appreciate that. So well done, Jess. But like people do say, people do say to me, my sister said to me, like, you do sometimes look quite angry when you're on stage. And I don't want you to feel, like, tense. So what I've done is I've developed a new smile. So if at any point it gets tense or I feel like I've lost you, I'll just do my new smile. It's this. Okay. So later on the show, if there's a bit of serious stuff later on the show, and there might be, I feel like I'll just... Anyway, this show is called Beheaded Survive. That's the show. I should say straight away, before we get started, it's not a show about Henry VIII and his wives, okay? So, like, if that's why you're here, leave. Like, it's not... This is not for you. So it's not about Henry VIII and his 6 wives. I mean, obviously, the title is taken from that rhyme that we all learned at school, you know. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. We learned that at school. You learned that at school, didn't you? But it's not completely true. It's only half true. What it should say is, divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived for a bit. Not indefinitely. Catherine Parr is now 475 years old and impervious to all human weaponry. Quite a good film, we'll talk about that later. What it's really a show about, it's about covenants. Now, what's a covenant? A covenant is different to a contract. A contract is something that is binding, but it's written down on paper and in law. Covenants are different, they're deeper. Covenants are the relationships that really matter to us. Those things not written on law, but written on flesh, written on our hearts, tied around our soul. That's what the show's about. And we have 3 major covenants. We have covenants with our parents, covenants with our children, and then covenants with our partner or spouse. So those are the 3 things I'm going to talk about tonight. I'm going to start off, part 1, covenant 1, parents. I'm going to tell you about my mum. My mum has turned 70 recently, and she worked really hard. She was a teacher for 40 years. And she's decided now that she's 70, now that she's fully retired and has no responsibility, that all she's going to do for the rest of her life is whatever entertains her, okay? So that's her new mindset. She will do anything that entertains her, and if it doesn't, she won't do it. So I'll give you an example. I've got two daughters. You'll learn about them in Part 2, Covenant 2. And I took them to see Mum and Dad. Interesting thing about having sort of daughters, by the way, is like whenever we leave the house, I'll always say, "Let's go, girls," and then I'm singing Shania Twain for the next 12 minutes. I know it's only a 4-minute song, but I do like to nail it, so I do it 3 times. Anyway, I took my daughters to see Mum and Dad for the first time in a couple of months. We turned up, straight away I can see that my mum is wearing a massive grin and she's got all the old photo albums out. I thought, oh no. First thing she says to my little girls, "Who wants to see a picture of your daddy with no clothes on?" I said, "Mum, couple of things. First of all, you haven't seen your granddaughters in 2 months. Like, give them a hug, give them a treat, ask them how they are. Second of all, this is from a 2010 rugby tour. Where did you get this photo? Have you hacked into my cloud, you evil genius?" She is. But that's an example of what she does. I was doing a big gig recently, and just before I was about to go on stage, I got a message from my mum on WhatsApp. You know WhatsApp, don't you? You get a message from my mum on WhatsApp. It says, "Dear Andrew, if you're reading this, it means I'm dead." Yeah. I would have been quite mortified as well if it hadn't said at the top of the screen, "Mum is typing." It's just what she's like. But she's a great mum, and she's a great daughter to her own mum. I've got a 96-year-old grandmother, which is so sweet. She's very frail, she can't do very much. But for Christmas, my mum bought her an Alexa. Isn't that sweet? She bought her my grandmother's got an Alexa. It's brilliant. I had to go around and fix it the other day because it was broken. It wasn't broken. She'd been calling it Cassandra. So... 96 years old and she spends her days shouting at robots. That's literally what that generation thought the future would be, isn't it? That's literally. So my mum's 70th birthday, she said, "It's my 70th birthday, Andrew. I want you to buy me something expensive. I think I deserve it for not letting you die as an infant." I said, "Fair enough." I said, "But you know, I mean, that's level 1 parenting, isn't it? That's the kind of, that's like the starter pack of parenting." So, you kept your children alive. Well done, 10 points to Gryffindor. Congratulations. My sister ruined it. My sister set the bar too high for my mum's birthday. My sister is much more wealthy and successful than I am. And she bought my mum an iPhone. Now, my mum didn't need an iPhone. She was quite happy with the Nokia 3310 she's had since the year 2002. Because my mum only had a phone for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, to ring my grandmother, see how Cassandra is. Reason number two, to play Snake. Those are the only reasons. But now she's got an iPhone, she's absolutely obsessed with it. Like, she's downloaded loads of games. She's a gamer now. She rings me up to talk about gaming. So, "Andrew, I'm playing a lot of games. I'm not doing very well on Minecraft." Yeah, well, it's Minecraft, it's not Minecraft. You've made it sound like Hitler's lesser-known book on creativity as well. Which is upsetting. She said, "Well, either way, anyway, I'm not doing very well on it. In better news, though, I think I've completed Tinder." So, what? What? Put Dad on now! Very upsetting. Like, she loves it. Like, the thing she loves most about it is it's got a camera feature. She's never had a phone with a camera before. She loves that. I don't love it, Because what it means now, that my mum's got a camera phone, is that every day, several times a day, my mum will send me what she will call selfies. But what any one of us would call photos with her not in them, you see? She has absolutely no idea what the terminology is. The first day she got her iPhone, she and Dad went to Warwick Castle to see the peacocks and the pageantry, the knights and the jousting. She rings me up from Warwick Castle. It flashes up on my phone. It says, "Do not answer." That's what my mum is registered. My mum is registered as in my phone. I said, "Hello." She said, "Hello, son. It's me, your mum, Linjoy Kind." Okay. Thanks for giving me your middle name there. Appreciate that. Saves me running you through a couple of security questions I had like that. First school and favourite pet. She said, "A big day for me, son. I'm about to send you my first ever selfie. Over." You know it's not a walkie-talkie, don't you, Mum? She said, "I'm just getting used to it. Anyway, stay tuned." She puts the phone down. She says, "Stay tuned." I don't know what stay tuned means either. For the next 9 minutes, I'm just staring at my phone with nothing happening. After 9 minutes, finally, a picture comes through. It's a picture of one of the Warwick Castle peacocks. Nice photo, but that's not a selfie. It's not. If anything, my mum looks more like an otter. It's not a selfie. I ring her back saying, "Mum, sorry, this isn't a selfie. It's a picture of a peacock." Genuinely, my mum says, "Oh yes, that's right. I took it my selfie." No, that's not what it means. I love them. I love my parents. They're brilliant. They've taught me, they've raised me how to treat people well. They've taught me how to raise my own kids, shown what it means to raise my own kids. They've shown me what good marriage looks like, and I love them. They're fantastic. I'm not going to talk about Dad. He'll get his own show at some point in the future. Honestly, I don't have time. I come from a military family. My dad was in the army. My granddad was in the army. Granddad was wounded by a German on holiday in the Algarve in the early 90s. I'll tell you one more story about my mum. I was doing a gig. Down in Brighton on the south coast. Big sort of fancy ball type of thing. At the end, this incredibly posh woman approaches me. She's posh and hammered. She comes up to me. She says, "Excuse me, Andy, can I tell you that is the second most I have ever laughed in my entire life." I said, "That's very kind of you." I said, "Hang on, you said that's the second most you've ever laughed?" "Yes." I said, "Okay, what's the first most you've ever laughed in your entire life?" She said, "Oh, yes. Good question. When I was 7 years old, I saw a donkey fall off a bridge." Absolutely. He didn't even know there was a river there. Off he went, swept away. "Goodbye, Colin. Take care." She said, "Don't worry, it's a happy ending. Daddy bought me a new one. It's absolutely fine." She said, "Listen, we're having a dinner party, an after-show party, back at our house. Would you like to come?" She said, "Would you?" She said, "I've prepared some canapes and nibbles. Would you like to come?" I thought, no, I wouldn't like to come. Because I'm a northern man. I don't use the phrase canapes and nibbles. Do we? It's not in our vernacular. As northern people, canapes and nibbles is not in our vernacular. If there's any southern people in here tonight, Dan, I think you're southern. Any southern people in here tonight, shall we tell you what northerners call canapes and nibbles? We will. We'll tell you what northerners call canapes and nibbles. Not enough food. That's what we call it. If I'm not catering and someone else is cooking for me for free, I want to stuff my face with so much food that by the morning there's an outside chance I'll have gone up a shoe size. That is what I want. You know those refillable Coke machines you get in Pizza Hut? I want that, but with gravy. That's my idea of a canapé. Anyway, I did go to this after-show party down on the south coast. I was so hungry because of all the flipping canapes and nibbles. By the end of the night, I got my phone out. I Googled hot meat Brighton, which... created as many problems as it solved, if I'm totally honest with you. Anyway, so I've stayed too late. So I text my mum at midnight. I say, Mum, there's been a problem. I've stayed too late, and I think the police are after me now. But I lived in Manchester at the time. I thought, I'm not going to get home to Manchester in time. I said, Mum, any chance I could stay with you and Dad in Stoke? She texts back straight away, not with a yes, but with the emoji of the monkey covering its eyes. Do you know that one? Solidarity. She sent me that not once, not twice, but 14 times. Okay. Then she said, yes, absolutely no problem. I'll probably be awake. She said, be careful driving home though, Andrew. The BBC website is saying there's a dangerous dog on the motorway. Yeah, I mean, I should have known what you've already worked out, which is that my mum just isn't very good with autocorrect. And what she'd meant to say was that there was a dangerous fog on the motorway. But I didn't know that. And so I spent 4 hours driving home absolutely traumatised. Worried that I'd stop for a drink at Oxford Services and a flipping werewolf would just come and destroy me. Anyway, I blitzed on the motorways. I get back to Mum and Dad's house, 4 o'clock in the morning, going to the house, going to the kitchen, put the kettle on for a cup of hot chocolate just to take the edge off the werewolf adrenaline that's been coursing through my veins for the last 4 hours. I get in at 4 o'clock, put the kettle on. My mum, who remember, knows I'm staying over at this point, wakes up in an absolute state, comes racing to the top of the stairs and shouts down, "Wait! Wait! Andrew! Is that you?" "Yes, Mum," I said. "Obviously it's me." Seriously, my mum said, "Oh, thank goodness for that. I heard the kettle. I thought it was burglars." "What?" And instantly makes themselves a hot drink. Dave, you get all the jewellery, I'll make us a couple of chai lattes. You want cinnamon? You got a loyalty card? Even if it is burglars, my mum's a 70-year-old woman in a flowery nightie. What are her tactics for accosting these interlopers? "Is that burglars?" "Yes." "Squirty cream on mine, please, if you don't mind." "Now get out or I'll set the fog on you. Go on, be gone. Be gone." Okay? So, she wanted me to do something nice for her birthday. She wanted me to get something expensive. She said, "I'll tell you what, you can take me on holiday. I've always wanted to go to Venice." I said, "That's great. Venice sounds lovely. You do realise I'm a comedian who's just lived through a pandemic. Have you considered Macclesfield?" She said, "I have, and it's a no from me." She said, "Take me to Brussels." "Take me to Brussels then, I like Brussels." So I took her to Brussels, and I checked TripAdvisor to decide where we would stay. Familiar with TripAdvisor? I used TripAdvisor to decide where we would stay. Now look, I don't like hotels. I don't like staying in hotels because they're liars. Hotels are liars. Because the slogans they use to attract you do not describe the experience you have when you're there. Yeah, it's true. That's why I'm saying it. I'll give you an example. One of Premier Inn's slogans is, "Premier Inn. Everything's Premier, but the price. No." What it should say is, "Premier Inn. Everything's Premier, apart from our understanding of what the word Premier means." That's what it should say. Other hotels should do it as well. "Hilton Hotels. You can't afford to stay here, moron." Peasants. My favourite one, "Never been to prison? You'll feel like you have. Travel Lodge." I'm thinking about stopping comedy and going into marketing just to... So anyway, I took her to Brussels in Belgium. I checked TripAdvisor. What I'm going to do to end this first off is to read you 3 reviews that I found for hotels in Brussels on TripAdvisor. Now, there's terrible reviews across the whole of the website, but they seem to be centralised on the nexus of Brussels. So you've got the review, then the star rating out of 5. These are all written by ladies, and as I say, we chose not to stay at any of these hotels. So first one, written, I imagine, by a businesswoman in her late 20s, early 30s. I'll just get into character. Perfect. I'm worth it. Here we go. First review. These are bona fide. Here we go. I was travelling alone. I checked in, and a man on the stairs offered to carry my bags. I presumed he was a porter. It wasn't until he entered my room and suggested that we have a bath together that I had my doubts. Still only doubts at this point. Still not certain, still giving him the benefit. Don't put cold in first, you moron. She continues. Suddenly it struck me, this was no porter. Oh, well done, Sherlock. I alerted the concierge, who looked mortified, and went searching for the man with a fire extinguisher and some nearby cutlery he'd recently finished polishing. Apparently, it was the 4th time this week. Something like this had happened. 1 star. So that's the first one. 1 star. Fair enough. Slightly on the generous side, if you ask me. This is the second one. Different lady, different hotel, same website. I unlocked the door to my bedroom to find an elderly gentleman lying on my bed, talking to a dog with no clothes on. You're absolutely right. It's not clear at this point. Which of them doesn't have the clothes on? Don't worry, she's about to clear it up. This was unacceptable. The hotel website specifically said, no dogs. Because that's the thing to fret about, isn't it? The stray pet. Not Mr. Nudie Rudy splayed on the bed. That's the thing that's going to catch you in your craw. 1 star there as well, you won't be surprised to hear. This is my favourite one. This is written by a lady in her 70s from Derby, not too far from where we are, in Newcastle-under-Lyme. Bear in mind, she's in Brussels. This hotel misled me into believing that it was in Paris. She's gone all that way. A hotel in Belgium should have a Belgian name, not a French one. My husband was most disappointed and has since died. Doesn't say whether it's as a result of the disappointment. He died of a broken heart. Anyway, the word is a bit of all. She finishes with, overall, 4 stars. 4 stars? I forgot to ask, did you all get here okay? You all got here okay? There's no empty seats, so you've all done that well. I had a bit of an odd journey here. On the way here, I hit and killed a squirrel. Aside from that, it was a fairly straightforward walk from the bus stop. But that pre-gig adrenaline doesn't create itself, you know. It's me holding it up like a trophy. I do loads of travelling. I do a lot of train travelling, and I was on a train down to London, and it sounds romantic, but it wasn't. There was a guy sitting opposite me in his 70s, and he was kissing and canoodling his girlfriend. Now, it's okay, I mean, you two are together, and you look lovely together, it's fantastic. This guy was kissing and canoodling his girlfriend, which was fine, until you realise that he was in his mid-70s, and she was about 25. Now look, I know it's 2023 and we want people to be happy and love wins and stuff like that, but I'm sorry, 50 years is too much. It just made me feel a bit uncomfortable. Maybe it wouldn't make you, but it just made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. I said to my friend, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable. Fortunately, the tannoy announcer said, if you see something that doesn't look right... Notify British Transport Police, so that's what I did, actually. Yeah, problem, sir. Yes, officer, it's the age gap, obviously. Taylor Swift and Mr. Burns from The Simpsons should not be dating. Quite straightforward. Any funny stories from you, Jez? You're doing okay. You're having a nice time, aren't you?
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, I am. I'll do a bit of banter with you. What's your favourite childhood memory? I'll go first. Mine's hair. No, that's fine. You don't have to. Yeah. Bless you. You've got some boundaries, and that's important. Well done. Well done. Well done. Like, because memories are weird, though, aren't they? And like, I find as you get older, like your brain just can't contain all the information. So what my brain has started doing is taking sort of separate memories and merging them into a single entity. I'll give you an example. So, when I was at primary school, Gordon Banks, England's 1966 World Cup winning goalkeeper, came to our school. His grandson, Matthew Banks, went to our school. So he came in and he gave a talk on, well, predictably, being Gordon Banks. It was great. But he talked about Pele, talked about Bobby Moore. It was one of the best days of my childhood. About 9 months later, the reptile man came in. Did you ever have the reptile man come into your... Yeah. And showed us how to look at like snakes and lizards and things like that. Even though I know that those are two completely separate events, because of my brain's insistence on saving on disk space, they're now the same event. So that at some point in the early 90s, England's greatest ever goalkeeper came into my school and showed me how to feed a dead rat to a python. That's what happened. So anyway, we're on to part 2 and covenant 2, children. I have got 2 children. I've got 2 girls. Both my girls have got names that you would find in the Bible. Esther's quite happy with that, but Deuteronomy hates me. And, so who now? Now, who's got kids? Jez, have you got kids?
I've got 3 kids.
You've got 3 kids?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, see what happens if you don't have kids, and good, there's no competition here. But if you don't have kids, what happens is, you have a child, and it's perfect, and it's amazing. Like, the child is perfect, and the situation is perfect, and they're everything you hoped they would be, and it's everything that you thought parenthood would be, and you say to your partner or your spouse, this is going really well. Like, we're really good at having a kid. We're really good parents. Couldn't hurt to have another one, could it? And then you have a second child, and it's like flipping Godzilla's turned up. Honestly. Alice, my 7-year-old, my girls are 7 and 4. Alice, the 7-year-old, is an absolute dream. She loves to cuddle, she loves to read, she goes to bed when she's told. Heidi, the 4-year-old, Heidi is what happens if you roll a 6 on Jumanji. Honestly. Excuse me, love, why is there a rhino in the living room? Oh, Heidi just woke up from a nap. Well, that explains it then, absolutely perfect. She's absolutely bonkers. We've still got stairgates in our house. Heidi's been walking for ages, but it doesn't matter. I've got 2 stairgates. I've got a stairgate at the bottom of the stairs, a stairgate at the top of the stairs, and she'll play in there for hours, quite happily. You should see the size of her calf muscles. She's like Jack Grealish. Although, let's face it, nowhere near as handsome. But what people say, again, before you have kids, what people say, and maybe you guys have said it to people, say, oh, when you have more than one child, you don't have a favourite. I flipping do. Guess what? I prefer the nicer one. I prefer the nicer one. The one who's nice to me. I love them both equally. I live for them both. I would die for them both. But I like the nice one. I like the one who, if I'm a little bit sad, will come and comfort me. Not the one who will use my vulnerability as an opportunity to go for the kill. That's not the one. Example, I got a massive, I do loads of driving, I got a massive car bill for my car, and I didn't know how I was going to pay. I was sitting down in the chair, slumped, looking a little bit sad. Alice came in and she discerned that I was sad. She came and sat next to me, took me by the hand and said, "Don't worry, Daddy, would you like to play FIFA with me on your PlayStation?" Like, it was so sweet. It was really nice. I mean, she's rubbish at it, but I mean, you know, a 16-0 win was helpful for my self-esteem at that point. But she comforted me. Heidi comes prowling in, sees that I'm a bit low, comes and sits on the other side of me, takes my hand and bites it. Just bites me. No explanation, just one of those no-context bites you've heard loads about. So now I've still got a massive car bill, but also I might be a vampire. I mean, I don't know at this point, who knows? I love them though, I do. I love them both. Interesting thing about Heidi, Heidi was born without a little toe on her left foot. Imagine that. Yeah, no little toe on her left foot. I mean, it hasn't affected her life in any way, it's okay. It just meant that when she was a baby, singing "This Little Piggy Went to Market." Bit of an anticlimax, if I'm totally honest. This little piggy had roast beef and we'll never know. I had to bring in a sister to finish the song. Come on, Alice, socks off, no spoilers, come on. As a parent, do you find this, Jess? You're always one step behind because they're always progressing so quickly. Like, it seems like we've only just left the Peppa Pig phase, which I am celebrating for. I'm on my knees in prayer every morning. Like, I am happy. Do we have any other parents and grandparents who've been forced to? Yeah. I hate it. Like, honestly, my commitment to hating Peppa Pig could be studied at universities. That's how much I hate it. There's only one good episode of Peppa Pig, and the parents all know this. It's the season finale, the last one they ever made. It's that one where Peppa and her family get tricked into attending a hog roast. I don't know if you've... Some of the most delicious television I've ever seen. Season it beautifully. But now, so they're past that point. I'm more of a bluey guy myself. Yes! The biggest cheer of the evening. What just happened? Anyway, they're no longer into Peppa Pig, but they're now into music. Now that sounds fine. It sounds fine that they're into music. But both my girls have the same favourite music band or pop group, One Direction. How is this possible? They split up ages ago. Honestly, when One Direction split up, I thought, yes, I have dodged the bullet on this one. But no, because now of, flipping Spotify and Cassandra, it means that they can just listen. They can just listen to whatever they want. So they love it. They love One Direction. They're obsessed. Their favourite song, you may have heard of it. It's the one that goes, whoa, you don't know you're beautiful. And that's what makes you beautiful. Have you heard that one, everybody? Yeah. You don't know you're beautiful, and that's what makes you beautiful. No, it isn't. It's not. I'm sorry. As you all know in this room, there's absolutely no logical, sequential link between, on the one hand, the epistemological apprehension of beauty, and on the other hand, the ontological reality of being beautiful. I mean, it's basic metaphysics, Harry Styles! Now, some of you looking a little bit confused, fear not, I shall elucidate. Let me use the same formula for a different sentence. See if this makes any sense. Whoa! You don't know that you're a cat. That's what makes you a cat. No, it isn't. Anyway, my girls, I love my girls. And my girls love me. That's what covenant is. It's those relationships you don't choose. You don't choose to love someone. You just love because, you know, their heart is wrapped around yours. And my girls love me as much as I love them, although they're not very good at showing it, if I'm totally honest. Like, the reason I've grown a beard recently is because we were leaving Morrison's recently. And as we were leaving the supermarket, Heidi told me that she said, Daddy, you look like an egg who's trying to escape from the supermarket. I said, look, I can get rid of that other little toe if you want, Heidi. If that's the game you want to play, love. Okay. Bless her, Alice said, Heidi, don't talk to Daddy like that. I said, yes, thank you, Alice. I said, you don't think I look like an egg, do you? And she said, let me just look at you. She said, no, you don't look like an egg. She said, she said, Daddy, you look like a handsome goblin. The worst thing I've ever heard in terms of a heckle was Sheffield Hallam University. I came on stage to rapturous applause. The cheers died down. As I got on stage, this again was pre-beard, somebody shouted out, oh, look, Lord Voldemort's had plastic surgery. I mean, that's not fair, is it? Because I am bald. It's not my fault that I'm bald. I've been bald for ages. I'm about 40. We've been over this. It's not my fault. I mean, and I like it. There's only one downside to being bald, and that is I'm not really sure at what point to stop washing my face because there's no boundary line. Do you know what I mean? I could be there for 3 or 4 hours some mornings, just not sure. What I don't like is when I see someone I haven't seen in 20 years, and the first thing they do is point out to me the fact that I'm bald as though I hadn't noticed. Right. So I'll give you an example. It was date. I took my wife to, a while ago, Yo Sushi. You've heard of Yo Sushi? Yeah, went to Yo Sushi for date night, because what could be more romantic than taking raw fish off a conveyor belt, I ask you that. Smooth operator! Took her to Yo Sushi. I saw this woman in Yo Sushi I haven't seen for 20 years at the counter. I went up to her. I said, hi, Sophie. She said, ah! Genuinely what she said. She said, how do you know my name? I said, it's all right, it's me, Andy Kine. We went to school together. I sat next to you at the Reptile Man, if you remember. She's like, I do remember you, yeah. She said she remembered me. At this point, she was reaching into her purse for some pepper spray as a sign that she genuinely did remember me, my friends, I think. Anyway, she said, it hasn't said hello yet. She said, oh dear, Andy, you've gone bald, haven't you? You've lost all your hair, oh dear. I said, yes, I have. Well, thank you again. Another 10 points to Gryffindor. We're really clocking them up tonight, aren't we? I said, yes, I have gone bald. But, we've all changed. We've all changed over 2 decades. I didn't say to her, your moustache is coming on nicely, did I? I didn't say that. I thought Magnum P.I. had come into Yo Sushi for a moment. Or Nigel Mansell. I didn't say that because that's not how I talk about people, my friend. But my girls are so clever. They're so clever. For Christmas, despite only being 4 years old, Heidi got me, for Christmas, a bottle of 12-year-old Talisker whiskey. Isn't that amazing? That's my favourite whiskey. Isn't she clever? She's 4. I was so impressed. I was pretty surprised as well because she got nothing for her mum. I was really. I was flattered. Alice came home. This is while we were still in Manchester. Alice came home from school one day. She said, "Daddy, tomorrow at school is Pirate Day. I've got to dress as a pirate." I said, that's great. Next to giving me sass, dressing up is your favourite thing to do, isn't it? And again, even though she's the slightly sort of politer one, she's still very cheeky. I was trying to tell her off last week because she'd beaten me at chess, and I'm sorry, I just don't like that attitude from a 7-year-old. I was trying to tell her off. As I was trying to discipline her, she's just poking me in the corner of the face. Like this, poking me. I said, excuse me, young lady, I'm trying to discipline you. What on earth do you think you're doing? She said, oh, sorry, Daddy. I'm just trying to skip the ads like on YouTube. Honestly! Anyway, she says, tomorrow at school is pirate. I'm going to dress as a pirate. You've got to as well, Daddy. All the mummies and daddies are dressing as a pirate. I said, well, I'm sorry. I said, listen, what you need to know, Alice, I'm happy for you to do it, but what you need to know, when you grow up, you don't just go around dressed as something that you're not. She said, but you dressed as a tramp last week? That was my loungewear, Alice, actually. She said, please, Daddy, dress as a pirate. I said, fine, go to bed. So she went to bed. I stayed up. I didn't have any pirate clothing. I stayed up till 4 a.m. Again, making myself a pirate costume. I made a massive cutlass out of a TV box. I got some felt and formed this kind of tricorn pirate hat. I got my homeless trousers. I looked absolutely fantastic. I looked in the mirror at 4 a.m., absolutely shattered, but friends, I looked fabulous. I also looked like what would have happened if the village people had brought on a sub. I looked a little bit like that. Alice gets up in the morning. She said, Daddy, will you paint my face like a pirate? I say, of course I will. I've had no sleep and loads of caffeine. Nothing can go wrong from here. So I paint her face like a pirate. She then paints my face like a clown. I don't know why. I said, I'm sorry, young lady. Sorry, Alice. I thought it was Pirate Day. Almost word for word. This is what she said. She said, Daddy, it is Pirate Day, but you've done very well with your costume, and you do look a lot like a pirate already. And I was really worried that if I painted your face to look like a pirate, when we got to school, all the other little boys and girls would be really worried that a real-life pirate had come to attack them. I said, oh, bless you. Thank you. Well done for thinking of your friends. And you know, you've made exactly the right choice. Because let's face it, Alice, there's nothing more reassuring for small children than the sight of a clown wielding a massive sword, is there? I mean, there's nothing... Just takes the edge off that, doesn't it? Sleep well, children. Now, I don't like to be serious, but if I'm going to be serious just for a second. It was probably at that point the best moment in my entire life. Walking hand in hand with my little girl, the half mile through Moss Side in Manchester, where we lived, right? She's so happy she can't wait to get to school. She's beaming up at me. I'm smiling down at her. I love her. Her smile is like the rising sun. I'm so proud to be her daddy. And frankly, friends, I'm proud of myself because for the first time, potentially ever, I've done, as a parent, more than the bare minimum. I've gone the extra mile. I've let my yes be yes. I'm a good, good father. That's who I am. And then... it wasn't Pirate Day because she'd made the whole thing up. She had totally invented it. Totally. And it's not her fault. That's what 6-year-olds do. They use their imagination. Another word for that is lying. But it wasn't her fault. It was my fault. I should have known it wasn't Pirate Day. If I thought about it for 20 seconds, friends, I would have known it wasn't Pirate Day because where we lived, it was never Pirate Day. It wasn't, because as I've told you, we lived for 7 years in Moss Side in Manchester. It is a largely Somali area. It's never Pirate Day. If it had been Pirate Day, you already would have heard about it, because I would have been A, on the news, and B, recently deceased. You would have already known. This was fine for one member of our family, because she got to go to school dressed as a pirate. It's what she planned the whole time. She essentially won a fancy dress competition, of which she was both the founder and the only contestant. Me, on the other hand, I had to turn up amongst the parents I was expecting to see for the next 6 years, dressed literally as a man who's been kicked out of the circus and turned to smuggling to make ends meet. I think that's what happened anyway. As I remember, at that point, Gordon Banks turned up and started handing out salamanders. tipping chameleons round the post. What a save! I got her back, though. I'm not petulant or anything like that, guys. Thanks for coming to my show. Man. I got her back, though. It took me a while. It took me over a year, but I got her back. I got her back a couple of weeks ago. She came in. She said, Daddy, me and Heidi were playing hide and seek, and Heidi couldn't find me for the whole of the 20 minutes. I won. Do you think I'm clever? I said, I do think you're clever. Well done for beating a 4-year-old at hide and seek, first of all. Congratulations, you're very clever. I said, you do realise, though, Alice, don't you, that the current hide and seek record holder is your older brother Mordecai? She said, who? I said, exactly. Let's call that 1-1, shall we, young lady? Which moves us on to the final covenant, the final part of the show, my friends. Covenant 3, marriage. Hey. Oh! Marriage is, in some ways, the most important covenant because it is the one that you choose and you say, this is the covenant that we will use as our foundation for the rest of our life. We will build our family upon this covenant. We'll build our future upon this covenant. It's brilliant. I love it. I think it's a fantastic thing. I got married on September the 26th, 2009. I've always called my wife Bambi. That's always been my nickname for her. Bambi, you know, because she's cute and a bit clumsy, and I want to shoot her mum. Joke number 5, that was. Joke number 5. Can't remember what the other two were, so we literally are. It's just on the downward slope now. Got married on 26th of September 2009, and then on the 25th of September 2021, I got something through the post called the Decree Absolute that told me that my marriage was over. Finally. And look, you need to know that tension, that's planned. That's okay. That happens in every story. It's called the crisis point. It's all right. I know you're feeling a bit anxious now, but I know how to bring us back. Watch this. Absolutely flawless, isn't it? Use it yourself. Use it yourself. Yeah. So that's what happened. And look, I'm going to talk about it. This is the third covenant, but I'm not cynical about it. You need to know if I'm okay to talk about it, you can laugh with me. Like it's cheaper than therapy, honestly. I've researched it. you can laugh with me. Yeah, so I don't have anything good to say about it, though. Like, I want you to say that. I don't just think, oh, it's all right, these things happen. Like, divorce is horrible. It decimates you, it devastates you, it discombobulates you. It beheads you in a way. That's what the title is. Clever, innit? I'm going to talk about it. And look, I didn't choose it. I didn't choose to end the marriage. I'd still be married now. I didn't do anything disqualifying. But look, that doesn't mean that it wasn't my fault. It was my fault. Because I didn't love her well enough. I tried, but it was too late. By the time I was trying properly, it was too late. And I tried. I didn't want to be divorced, but I just wasn't very good at being married. I can say that now. I can say that and hold my hands up and say I just wasn't very good at being a husband, partly because I never picked up on all the right cues. I remember once we were lying in bed together. She snuggled up to me in bed. She said, why don't you do that thing you're really good at? I spent the next 8 hours on Football Manager. It was absolutely... smashing it. Absolutely smashed. I just wasn't ever very good at picking up on the cues or doing the right thing. I tried to do the right thing. One time we had a really, really bad argument, probably our worst ever argument. Bambi threw a gravy boat at me. That's how bad it was. I didn't even know we owned a gravy boat until it hit me on the chin. But it did. But so I thought I did the right thing. What I did, I went straight out to Clinton Cards on the high street, and I bought the biggest I'm sorry card that I could find. And I thought I'd done the right thing. But she refused to write it. Oh, it's hard. I mean, we tried a few things. We tried marriage counselling. That didn't go very well. marriage counselling did not go well. Partly, I think, because I kept asking the marriage counsellor who he thought was winning, and I don't think that's what he was... You're currently 4-1 down, Mr. Kind. With how long left? Does it go over 2 legs? People say, we were married for like over 10 years or something, and people say, oh, but, did you not find it got a bit stale? But, well, maybe, but that... I still love bread, and that can get stale. A marriage getting stale isn't a reason to not be married anymore. And I liked it. I liked the certainty. I liked the stability. I liked the sort of the comfort that came with a long time. Obviously, it did get a little bit stale. When we first got married, every morning we'd have a little married cuddle. Jez, do you know what I mean by that? Yeah. You at least know that. Every morning when we got married, we'd have a little married cuddle. That was great. And obviously after sort of, 8-9 years, that isn't what happens. Every morning, instead of having a married cuddle, my wife would say to me, right, I want to have a shower now. Do you need to do a poo first? Because we are not sharing that space, my friend. Maybe I have got one positive thing to say about being divorced, in that I had one negative thing to say about being married. I had one negative thing about being a husband, and it's the same negative thing that most men experience in long-term cohabitation. The worst thing for me was this. It's when, as a man, you are peckish of an evening, and so you go searching for snacks. And you go to the freezer, and you find a tub of ice cream in the freezer. And you open the tub of ice cream to discover that it is, in fact, frozen soup. What the hell? Why does this happen? And judging from the laughter, I'm not the only one who's experienced this, I can tell. It used to happen in our house all the time. My wife would say to me, darling, I shall now make a soup, and I shall fashion inordinate amounts of it, far more than we shall ever need, and I shall store them in these Gino Ginelli containers from the 90s that I have for some reason still. Hope you like Tutti Frutti and Mint Choc Chip, because those are the only 2 flavours. I shall store them here, this lovely soup, so that a few months down the line, when you're peckish, I can totally ruin your evening. How does that sound? That sounds great, thank you. Yeah, a couple of things. So first of all, nobody likes soup. No one likes soup. Questionnaire, put your hands up if you actually like soup. Exactly, no one likes soup. Go home, you. No one likes soup. It's disgusting. It's not food, it's a thick drink with vegetables floating in it. It's absolutely gross. And someone said to me, oh, well, you can have meat soup as well. Meat soup? I've never once in my life felt the need to drink a chicken. I'm not having it. No one likes soup. I have never once been sitting with my wife of an evening and said, oh, darling, I'm absolutely starving. I'm in a genuine famished. Now, I know that Uber Eats deliver within 25 minutes these days, but frankly, my love, I can't wait that long. Darling, you know that totally flavourless soup that you made in 2011? I don't suppose there's any more of that, is there? Oh, there is. Oh, sing choirs of angels, yes. Oh, yeah. Liquid broccoli sounds absolutely delicious. I'll tell you what, you've got a deal. And can you do that thing you do where you microwave the soup so that most of the ice won't have melted? But it will still somehow massively burn my mouth. I'd really appreciate that. I'm about to notify the Nobel Prize Committee about your new invention, scalding hot ice. I'll do that straight away. All right, Pepper. Don't worry though, my love, if I do want something sweet for my dessert, I'll simply take this cake tin down from on top of the fridge. Because I'm sure on this occasion, it will contain actual cake, and not, as it normally does, a slightly smaller tin. I'm sure that'll be absolutely fine. So look, I can't say that it's okay. I can't say that it's okay for me to be divorced. I don't think it is okay. I don't like it. I wish it wasn't as it is. I do wish that. I'm not going to say, oh, life moves on, and people don't know how to react to it either. My sister said to me, well, your birthday's coming up. What do you want for it? I don't know, for my marriage to be restored. She's like, yeah. Okay, how about something in the 10 to 15 pounds bracket, though? Oh, why don't you get me an iPhone like you got for Mum? I can't afford it anymore. But look, I'm not cynical. Because I believe in covenant. And even though I've seen one fall by the wayside, I've still got other ones. I've still got those covenants that are not based on what's written down, that can't be posted to you as an ending. My covenant with my parents, with my kids, with my friends. These are good things. These are things that keep you supported when everything else falls apart. Because I believe that life is ultimately a good news story. I've got it written on my arm. I believe that life is a good news story. I believe in crisis points. But every good story, after the crisis point, comes to redemption. And for me, I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know. I'm not here to say what it is. But what I do know is that we can always have hope. Hope is the most powerful weapon known to man outside of love. And we never need give up on hope. And again, I don't necessarily know what I'm hoping for, but it's the thing that gets me up in the morning. So what I want to do, rather than be cynical, rather than be angry, is to tell one final story just about my family. Because even though we've split up, even though we're not married anymore, we're never going to be married again. That's not what redemption will look like. But we're still a family. We still get to work together, to share in each other's joys and triumphs. That's what I want. That's what I'm working for. That's a covenant with hope that I will make. And at some point you just have to crack on. That's why I'm back here, back in Newcastle under Lyme, my hometown. And you know what? Yeah, and you know what? And you know what? It's actually all right. And I've got 2 new sets of neighbours now. On the one side, I'm trying to make new community. On the one side, I've got a family of 4 with 2 teenage lads called Sam and Ben. They're 15 and 13. And we had like one hot day about sometime this week, and and then it stopped. Like that was our summer. On the hot day this week, it was brilliant. Sam and Ben came round to my house, 15 and 13, knocked on my door and said, Andy, we're here to challenge you to a water fight. Summer's here. Do you want a water fight? I was so excited. I thought, this is great. So yes, I will take you on in the water fight. And I'm delighted to tell you, my friends, I won the water fight. Yes. Yes. Take that, children. Now, they were winning. Sam and Ben were winning the water fight early on. But in fairness to me, I was waiting for the kettle to boil. And... I was the runaway winner after that. Take that, Sam and Ben. Or Scarface and the Elephant Man, as they're now called. On the other side, I got a guy called Ian. Now, Ian is a businessman, and he has a dog. It's a rescue dog, actually. How do I know it's a rescue dog? Because he tells me in every 3rd sentence. And this is the thing with everybody who owns a rescue dog. They have to tell you. Like, I don't know how they do it, but they somehow make vegans look modest and unassuming. I don't know how they do it. You don't even have to know. You don't even have to know them. They'll just shout across the park. Excuse me, sir. I've got a rescue dog. Oh, right. No one cares, mate. You didn't rescue it, did you? Not Liam Neeson from Taken, are you? Or are you? I didn't think you were. Good to diffuse any tension across a park, innit? Anyway, so Ian, he's got this dog, because it's a rescue dog, very docile creature. I've never heard him say its name. I didn't know what its name was. I wish I did, because we offered to look after it for a week. Should I tell you what it's called? Boobies. Boobies. Boobies the dog. Why have you called it? It's a rescue. Don't you think it suffered enough, Ian? Don't you think already? Anyway, we known its name, I wouldn't have done that. Because what this meant was, my friends, for the space of a week while Ian was on holiday, what it meant was that twice a day, every day, I would find myself standing in a park all by myself, just shouting out, babies! Babies! Boobies here now! The dog never once came back, but Jez crept out the bushes looking excited, didn't he? Hey, it's good to see you again, man. Thanks for coming to my show, man. One final story. This is it. After this, we're going, and I'll see you downstairs for a drink. Thank you, by the way. You have been an absolute joy of an audience. I want to say that before I do this final story. But this is my favourite story to tell, because, again, we're still a family. And so I'm going to tell the story of our family, the foundation of our family, the moment that Heidi, Godzilla to you, was born. I'm going to tell you the moment Heidi was born. Now, Jez, your wife, is it Bex?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, Bex, when you were pregnant, did you have a moment where you sensed you were pregnant before you found out in a medical way?
A little bit.
Okay, so sorry, you don't have to illustrate, because that's what happened was we were sitting watching Bluey, obviously.
Hooray!
Yes. We're sitting watching Bluey. My wife turns to me, Bambi turns to me and says, "You know what? I think I might be pregnant." Now, I'm not very good with new situations. I said, "You stay there. You sit there. I'll go and get you some hot towels and cold water." My wife pointed out to me a couple of things. First of all, she wasn't having the baby straight away. And what surely I should have said was cold towels and warm water, and maybe what I'd done was to confuse having a baby with going to a Thai restaurant, which is in fact what would happen. Yeah. I wanted to be the helpful husband, so we had to think about it. In the end, we did this kind of online, not online pregnancy test. I don't think that's possible even now. That's it. An online survey, that's what I'm thinking of. The 10 signs you might be pregnant. Bex, did you ever do any of these? No, you didn't miss anything. The one we did asked you 10 questions to gauge whether you're pregnant. Questions like, have you put on weight? Are you experiencing mood swings? Or are you suddenly addicted to the smell of creosote? Stuff like that. Out of 10, my wife answered yes to 7, which gave her a pretty good idea that she might be pregnant. On the other hand, I answered yes to all 10 questions and was totally convinced for about an hour that I was with child. Question number 9 was the killer. Have you missed your period? Well, I'm still waiting, if anything, so yes. Anyway, when Heidi was born, this is my favourite story to tell. When Heidi was born, there were no doctors there were no midwives, there was just me. I had to deliver Heidi all by myself. Yeah, don't get too impressed too quickly. Let me give you the backstory. First of all, we'd wanted to have a home birth. We'd wanted to have a home birth. Bambi, she wanted a home birth, and I agree with that. Of course I did. Of course I affirmed the idea of a home birth. When else is your wife going to let you have a paddling pool up in the living room? It's not going to happen, is it? So we'd wanted to have a home birth. But we've seen Call the Midwife, and on Call the Midwife, when they're about to have a baby, they call the midwife, and the midwives actually turn up. Well, not in our life, they didn't. I should say here, my friends, the problem is not the NHS. The NHS are amazing and do an amazing job under increasing... Yeah. The problem was the length of time it took Heidi to get from inside my wife to outside in the real world. Alice, for instance, our first daughter, Alice, 24 hours of labour. That's not uncommon for a first child. 24 hours of labour. I went through all the Harry Potter films back to back. They say it's painful. I was having a lovely time. I don't know what they were talking about. 24 hours for Alice. Heidi, by contrast, Heidi's labour lasted a grand total of 45 minutes. Yeah. From first contraction to splashdown, 45 minutes. 45. I'll level with you, my friends. It almost took longer to make her in the first place. That might not be true. Anyway, I realise we're about to have a baby. So I ring St Mary's Hospital in Manchester and I speak to the chief wizard or something. I speak to... I don't know, I'm not a medical man. I say, please, we're about to have a baby. Send a doctor, send a midwife, send Professor Dumbledore, send somebody more capable than me at delivering a child. The chief midwife, very calm, very collected. She's seen it all before. She said, Mr. Khan, please remain calm. The midwives are on their way, but I don't think they're going to make it on time because they're stuck in traffic. I said, well, that's a shame, isn't it, that you've never invented a vehicle that could get trained medical professionals to an emergency from a hospital. Might I suggest you invent such a machine, perhaps a van-like contraption with a sound and light show on it or something like that? She bristled at this point. She said, I realise you mean an ambulance. Oh, do you, Columbo? You've cracked that code, have you? You've cracked that code, have you, Miss Marple? You've got to realise I was just panicking at this point. I said, please, send one of your magic ambulances. She says, please, Mr. Khan, remain calm. We're sending 4 midwives. That's the best we can do. 2 juniors and 2 normals. But we've run out of ambulances, and so they're in a minibus. Sorry? They're in a minibus? What, are they on the way to Alton Towers or something, are they? Is it midwives on tour? Is it, oi, oi? What happens in midwifery stays in midwifery. Lads, lads, lads. She says, do your best, and she puts the phone down. I don't know what I'm going to do. I look at my wife sitting there in the birthing pool. I say, okay, so they're not coming. They're not coming. What are we going to do? I don't know how to deliver a baby, Bambi. What are we going to do? They're not coming. My wife, absolute legend. She stayed so calm. She said, honey, look at me. Stop crying. Remember the breathing. Breathe. Breathe. I'm here with you. She said, no, listen. This is a bit of a pickle, but all we can do in this current predicament is to take ownership over the situation in which we presently find ourselves flummoxed. I'm paraphrasing. She might have been swearing a bit more than that. But again, I'm trying to honour her. She said, hubby, listen, this isn't a great situation, but it is just very simple. If help is not on its way, then you, my love, are going to have to help me deliver our daughter. And I said, no, thank you. I don't want to, you can't make me. Leave me alone, you're not my real dad. I was panicking. I didn't know I was panicking at this point. I didn't know what I was talking about. The problem was that my wife got me with the one phrase that you can use to, like, just destroy anyone's, like, attempt to do anything. She's sitting there in the birthing pool. She said, before you make your decision, just think about this. What would Jesus do? Like, oh, no. That's not fair, is it? How are you supposed to respond to that? I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. You've got me. What would Jesus do? So I pretended to be dead and hid in a cave for 3 days. That was my... Not my exact theology, but it is my favourite joke in the show, so grow up. Anyway. I say, fine, I'll help you. We're nearly there. I say, fine, I'll help you. How do I help you? She said, use the TENS machine. You know what the TENS machine is, don't you? You get these pads, you put them on the mum's back, delivers little shocks into the nervous system. That's supposed to even out the pain of the labour. But I'm sorry, from a husband's perspective, that makes no sense whatsoever. I'm in so much pain with this childbirth. Tell me how to help you then. Electrocute me, of course, you fool! Give me more pain. I am woman. Bring it on. At this point, Alice wakes up. Alice is only 3 at the time. She wakes up and she comes down. And not only has she come downstairs, it's 1 o'clock in the morning at this point. Not only has she come downstairs, but she's changed out of her Peppa Pig pyjamas and she's changed into her little $7.99 mother care nurse's outfit. Yeah. And she stands in the door with her hands on her hips. She says, Daddy, I'm here now. May I help? I was like, no, you may not help. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. You're 3 years old. Go back to bed. And then I realised that, ironically, by wearing this mother care nurse's outfit, she was actually the most highly qualified medical professional currently on the premises. It's like, please, Alice, take over. Come on, you're up. High five. Once more into the breach, as they don't normally say in this context. Anyway, it's a happy ending to this story, my friends, because I believe that the universe is wired for happy endings. After the crisis point, you get a happy ending. Happy ending. A few minutes later, Heidi was born. She was born. She bungee jumped into the birthing pool. She did, and she looked, disgusting and beautiful as all newborn babies were. And I got into the pool with my wife, and Alice stood by the side, and we call her Heidi because she's our second little girl. She's our baby. Heidi comes from the German word Adelheid, which translates roughly into English as sort of not the son I was hoping for. Sort of just beautiful. Beautiful name for a beautiful baby. And I was in that water with my wife, and my daughters were there, and it was amazing. It was our first moments together as a family of 4. It was fantastic. 1 hour later, 4 midwives finally turn up. 1 hour later, they turn up with candy floss and pictures of themselves on the log flumes. I mean, they've had a cracking day out. I'm not begrudging them that. It's not helpful for me. The doorbell goes at 2 o'clock in the morning. Alice, who's the only one not soaking wet, says, "I'll get it!" Like Nanny from Count Duckula. She goes to the door, opens the door. There's these 4 very anxious-looking midwives staring down at her. My little 3-year-old girl, with her hands on her hips, her mother care nurse's outfit, her little doctor's stethoscope that she's taken out of her medical kit and put around her neck. She faces down these 4 midwives at 2 o'clock in the morning and just says, ever so calmly, "My work here is done." And then just as calmly, she goes back to bed. She's on nights, you see, so she needs to get the... We talked about 3 covenants. 4, in fact. I lost 1, but I make a covenant with hope. And as someone once said, hope does not put us to shame. Thanks for coming to my show, man. My work here is done. Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, Andy Carr!